Thank you, Chairman Schuster. I'm offering this amendment, sir, to provide better data about the health impacts of oil spills. I commend you, sir, and Ranking Member DeFazio, as well as Rail Chair Denham and Ranking Member Capuano on their hard work to bring together a very good compromise bill. This is one of the better committees in the Congress that works together in a bipartisan fashion, so thank you all for that. I'm very pleased, Mr. Chairman, with the improved information to pipeline communities, especially providing the safety data sheets and grants for public awareness efforts, but I do believe we need more information. This amendment, Chairman, requires that the National Academy of Sciences, one of the most preeminent scientific organizations in the country, to study the short and long-term human health and ecological effects of pipeline oil spills. I'm raising this point because too often people confuse the effects of crude oil spills, such as BP's in the Gulf Coast, with other spills of diluted bitumen. Tar sands are more toxic, require more pressure for transport through pipes, and if spilled, will settle into riverbeds, contaminating the water supply for years. And we can't forget that Americans are still suffering from the effects of huge tar sands that occurred in 2010. And as a Hoosier, a representative of the Great Lakes region, I'm deeply concerned about risks to our rivers and streams from oil spills, both from pipelines or rail accidents. In closing, I'd like to say that as the ranking member of the Energy Management Subcommittee and a former first responder, I know how important it is to get this critical data as soon as possible, and we need this data before there's another spill. So, Mr. Chairman, I urge my colleagues to support this amendment, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Well, I thank the gentleman for offering the amendment. I understand his concerns when it comes to health and the environment. Though I must oppose this amendment, the main purpose of this bill is for pipeline safety and construction. In other words, keeping the product in the pipe. This amendment does focus, as I said, on long-term health and the ecology issues, which are topics really beyond this bill. I believe other committees are better equipped to deal with this, and I will note that in the last 5 years there have been 13 different health studies that investigate the short and long-term effects of spills on human and the environment health. One of those studies is currently ongoing. So again, I understand what you're trying. I think it's better served in a different committee. So I would urge opposition at this point. Any other members wish to be heard? Mrs. Hahn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to speak in support of this amendment, especially since we have discussed what happened in my community of Wilmington several times in this committee. And while many studies have examined the effects of oil when spills occur in bodies of water, there are considerable fewer studies that have examined the impact of exposure to oil on land and in urban and suburban settings. I think my constituents deserve to know how oil spills could have affected their environment, their health. They could know what kind of conversations they should be having with their doctors. And I also think it does make sense that it helps with our commitment to the safety of pipelines if we begin to have data actually telling us how we should better keep our pipelines safe and better prepare our emergency responders in case of another accident. So I do think it's a good amendment. I do think it makes sense when we're talking about pipeline safety to actually understand why it's important that these pipelines are indeed safe. So I appreciate you bringing this amendment forward.
I thank the gentlelady. Any other members wish to be heard? Seeing none, are the amendments to the amendment? If no amendments to the amendment, the question is on the amendment. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Nay. The nays have it, and the amendment is not agreed to.